Chapter 8, From Term Sheet to Binding Agreement provides an in-depth exploration of the pivotal phases that bridge the initial stages of a commercial real estate deal to its finalization. This chapter encompasses the following key sections: transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements. In the world of commercial real estate, agreements often begin with a non-binding term sheet that outlines the general terms and intentions of the parties involved. However, the transition from this preliminary, non-committal stage to a binding agreement is a significant leap and one that requires careful consideration. This section delves into the importance of clarity, negotiation recap, and the pivotal role of legal expertise in this transition. Legal and regulatory considerations. Real estate transactions are governed by an intricate web of legal and regulatory requirements. Failing to comply with these can lead to complications, delays, or even legal disputes. This section underscores the non-negotiable nature of compliance and the importance of comprehensive due diligence in identifying and addressing potential legal and regulatory challenges. Engaging legal and financial advisors. One of the foundational principles in the realm of real estate deals is the significance of expert guidance. Engaging legal and financial advisors is not just a recommended step, it's often essential for navigating complex transactions. Here, we stress the value of early involvement of advisors, their expertise, and the need for specialized knowledge in real estate transactions. Finalizing the deal, signing and closing. The culmination of a commercial real estate transaction involves the signing of binding agreements and the official closing of the deal. This phase necessitates meticulous preparation, open communication with all stakeholders, attention to detail, and responsible celebration. This section guides you through the practical aspects of finalizing a real estate transaction effectively. As we delve into Chapter 8, we will explore each of these facets in detail, equipping you with the knowledge and insights needed to navigate the complexities of moving from a term sheet to a binding agreement in the world of commercial real estate. Whether you're a seasoned professional or new to the industry, this chapter will provide valuable insights into the critical steps that lead to the successful closure of real estate deals. Chapter 8, From Term Sheet to Binding Agreement is a comprehensive guide that covers the critical phases and considerations in the journey of a commercial real estate deal. Here's an overview of what you will learn in this chapter: transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements. In this section, you'll gain a deep understanding of the pivotal moment when a non-binding term sheet transforms into a binding agreement. We'll explore the importance of clarity in the transition, the key elements that should remain consistent, and the role of negotiations in ensuring a smooth progression from preliminary intentions to legally enforceable commitments. Legal and regulatory considerations. Commercial real estate transactions are subject to a myriad of legal and regulatory requirements. You'll learn how to navigate these complexities, understand the legal landscape, and identify potential challenges. We'll emphasize the significance of thorough due diligence in ensuring compliance and minimizing legal risks. Engaging legal and financial advisors. This section highlights the critical role that legal and financial advisors play in the real estate deal-making process. You'll discover the importance of involving these experts early in the transaction, how to select the right advisors, and the specific expertise needed in real estate transactions. Practical insights on how to leverage their knowledge to your advantage will also be provided. Finalizing the deal, signing and closing. The final stage of a real estate deal involves the official signing of binding agreements and closing the transaction. We'll guide you through the essential steps in this process, including meticulous preparation, transparent communication with all parties involved, attention to detail, and a responsible approach to celebration. You'll gain valuable insights into best practices for ensuring a successful and seamless closing. By the end of Chapter 8, you will be well equipped to navigate the complexities of moving from a term sheet to a binding agreement in the commercial real estate arena. Whether you're a seasoned professional looking to refine your skills or a newcomer to the industry seeking a comprehensive guide, this chapter will provide you with the knowledge and tools necessary for successful deal execution. Chapter 8, From Term Sheet to Binding Agreement. Chapter 8 delves into the crucial phase of transitioning from a preliminary term sheet to a legally binding agreement in commercial real estate (CRE) transactions. This phase marks the transformation of negotiations and intentions into concrete contractual commitments. In this chapter, we explore the essential components, processes, and considerations involved in this transformation. Key components of the chapter: 1. Drafting the agreement. Learn about the process of drafting a binding agreement, including the legal and structural requirements that ensure its enforceability. Understand how the term sheet serves as a blueprint for drafting the agreement, outlining key provisions and conditions. 2. Legal review and due diligence. Explore the importance of conducting thorough legal reviews and due diligence before finalizing the agreement. Understand how these reviews uncover potential legal issues, risks, and compliance requirements that must be addressed. 3. Negotiating final terms. Delve into the final rounds of negotiations to iron out any remaining discrepancies or disagreements in the terms and conditions. Learn how to handle potential roadblocks and maintain transparency in negotiations. 4. Conditions precedent. Discover the concept of conditions precedent, which are specific requirements or actions that must be fulfilled before the agreement becomes binding. Explore examples of conditions precedent and their role in mitigating risks. 5. Execution and closing. Understand the formalities of executing the binding agreement, including the signing and witnessing of documents. Learn about the closing process, which involves the exchange of consideration and the transfer of ownership or assets. 6. Post-closing obligations. Explore the obligations and responsibilities of all parties after the agreement is executed and the transaction is closed. Understand how these post-closing activities ensure that both parties fulfill their commitments. 7. Dispute resolution mechanisms. Discover the importance of including dispute resolution mechanisms within the binding agreement. Learn about arbitration, mediation, and other methods for resolving disputes in CRE transactions. 8. Ensuring compliance. Understand the need for ongoing compliance with the terms of the binding agreement. Explore the consequences of non-compliance and strategies for enforcement. 9. Documenting the process. Learn about the importance of documenting every step of the process, from term sheet negotiations to the execution of the binding agreement. Understand how proper documentation serves as evidence and protection for all parties involved. Throughout this chapter, you will gain insights into the meticulous process of transforming negotiations into a binding agreement, ensuring that all parties are protected, commitments are honored, and the CRE transaction proceeds smoothly. Relevant examples, Chapter 8, From Term Sheet to Binding Agreement. Let's explore some relevant examples that illustrate the journey from a term sheet to a binding agreement in commercial real estate, CRE, transactions. 1. Purchase and Sale Agreement, PSA. Imagine a scenario where a buyer and seller agree on the basic terms of a property sale in the term sheet. The PSA is then drafted to include specifics like the purchase price, property description, closing date, and contingencies. Example, in a CRE deal, a term sheet might specify that the buyer has 60 days for due diligence. The PSA will outline what constitutes satisfactory due diligence and the consequences of not meeting this condition. 2. Joint Venture Agreement, JVA. Consider a situation where two parties intend to form a joint venture for a CRE development project. The term sheet outlines the ownership structure, capital contributions, and profit sharing. Example, the JVA will further detail the responsibilities of each party, construction timelines, dispute resolution mechanisms, and exit strategies, ensuring a comprehensive agreement. 3. Commercial Lease Agreement. In a leasing scenario, a tenant and landlord agree on key lease terms in the term sheet, such as rent, lease duration, and any tenant improvements. The binding lease agreement is then drafted to formalize these terms. Example, the lease agreement may include clauses on maintenance responsibilities, rent escalations, renewal options, and penalties for breach of lease terms. 4. Loan Agreement. When a borrower seeks financing for a CRE project, the term sheet with the lender outlines the loan amount, interest rate, repayment terms, and collateral. The binding loan agreement elaborates on these terms. Example, the loan agreement will specify conditions precedent, loan disbursement schedules, covenants, and default remedies to protect both parties' interests. 5. Development Agreement. In a development project, the term sheet may cover land acquisition, zoning, and development rights. The binding development agreement provides details on project milestones, construction plans, and approvals. Example, the development agreement could outline the phasing of the project, regulatory compliance, environmental assessments, and provisions for changes in scope or costs. 6. Property Management Agreement. In the term sheet, a property owner and management company agree on services, fees, and responsibilities. The binding property management agreement spells out these terms in detail. Example, the property management agreement will define the scope of maintenance, reporting requirements, emergency procedures, and the termination process. These examples illustrate the diversity of CRE agreements that transition from term sheets to binding contracts. Each agreement caters to specific needs, considerations, and complexities of different real estate transactions. The binding agreements bring clarity and legal force to the arrangements initially outlined in the term sheet, ensuring that all parties are on the same page and protected throughout the transaction. Chapter 8, From Term Sheet to Binding Agreement. Understanding the Transition. In the world of commercial real estate, CRE, the transition from a term sheet to a binding agreement is a critical phase in any transaction. This chapter delves into the intricacies of this transition, shedding light on the key steps, considerations, and elements involved in converting a preliminary agreement into a legally binding contract. 1. Introduction to the transition. The transition from a term sheet to a binding agreement represents the bridge between initial negotiations and the formalization of a CRE transaction. While a term sheet outlines the fundamental terms and conditions of the deal, a binding agreement provides the legal framework that governs the transaction. 2. The purpose of a term sheet. A term sheet serves as a precursor to the binding agreement. It is a non-binding document that outlines the essential terms, objectives, and expectations of the parties involved. It sets the stage for further negotiations and due diligence. 3. Key elements of a term sheet. A typical term sheet includes elements like the purchase price, financing terms, due diligence period, contingencies, and other crucial provisions. It acts as a roadmap for structuring the binding agreement. 4. Drafting the binding agreement. Once parties reach a consensus on the terms outlined in the term sheet, the next step is drafting the binding agreement. This agreement is typically prepared by legal professionals, often representing both parties' interests. 5. Binding versus non-binding provisions. A binding agreement distinguishes between binding and non-binding provisions. Binding provisions are legally enforceable, while non-binding provisions serve as guiding principles or objectives. Parties must clearly delineate these two categories. 6. Negotiation and revision. Drafting the binding agreement involves extensive negotiation and revision. Both parties may have legal counsel involved to ensure their interests are protected. Negotiations can involve modifications, clarifications, or additional terms that were not in the term sheet. 7. Due diligence and contingencies. The binding agreement often includes due diligence provisions, outlining the period and scope of inspections and investigations. Contingencies, such as financing, zoning approvals, or property inspections, are detailed along with their consequences. 8. Legal review and execution. Before finalizing the binding agreement, it undergoes a thorough legal review by each party's counsel. Once both parties are satisfied with the terms and conditions, they execute the agreement, making it legally binding. 9. Performance and enforcement. After execution, both parties are legally obligated to fulfill their respective obligations under the agreement. Failure to do so can result in legal remedies, including damages or specific performance. 10. Termination and dispute resolution. Binding agreements may also include provisions for termination and dispute resolution mechanisms. This ensures that if unforeseen circumstances arise, there is a clear process for resolving disputes and exiting the agreement. 11. Closing the transaction. Once all conditions are met, the binding agreement facilitates the closing of the CRE transaction. This includes the transfer of funds, titles, and possession of the property. 12. Lessons from real-life scenarios. Real-world examples highlight the significance of a well-structured binding agreement. Cases of disputes, failed transactions, or successful deals underscore the importance of clarity and specificity in these agreements. 13. The role of legal professionals. Legal professionals play a pivotal role in guiding parties through this transition. Their expertise ensures that the binding agreement aligns with the parties' intentions and adheres to legal requirements. 14. Conclusion. This chapter emphasizes the crucial transition from a term sheet to a binding agreement in CRE transactions. It underscores the need for precision, legal counsel, and due diligence in crafting these agreements to protect the interests of all parties involved. Chapter 8. From term sheet to binding agreement. Actionable advice. Navigating the transition from a term sheet to a binding agreement in commercial real estate, CRE, transactions requires a strategic approach and attention to detail. Here is actionable advice to ensure a smooth and successful transition. 1. Clear communication. Effective communication between all parties involved is paramount. Ensure that all parties fully understand the terms outlined in the term sheet. Clarify any ambiguities or uncertainties before proceeding to draft the binding agreement. 2. Engage legal counsel early. Legal representation is essential. Engage legal professionals experienced in CRE transactions as soon as possible. They can provide guidance, draft the agreement, and protect your interests throughout the process. 3. Define binding versus non-binding provisions. Clearly distinguish between binding and non-binding provisions in the term sheet. Ensure that both parties agree on which elements are legally enforceable and which serve as guidelines. This prevents misunderstandings later in the process. 4. Comprehensive due diligence. Thorough due diligence is critical. Use the due diligence period specified in the term sheet to conduct inspections, investigations, and assessments of the property. Address any issues or concerns during this stage. 5. Contingency planning. Contingencies should be well defined and realistic. Identify potential obstacles and specify how they will be addressed. Be prepared with alternative solutions if contingencies are not met. 6. Negotiate in good faith. Negotiations for the binding agreement may involve revisions and adjustments. Approach negotiations with a willingness to compromise while protecting your interests. Negotiating in good faith fosters a positive relationship between parties. 7. Legal review and documentation. Ensure that the binding agreement is thoroughly reviewed by legal counsel. Legal professionals will identify any legal risks and help craft language that is clear, specific, and legally compliant. 8. Execution and signature. Only execute the binding agreement when both parties are fully satisfied with its terms. Once signed, it becomes legally binding, and parties are obligated to adhere to its provisions. 9. Anticipate disputes. While no one wants disputes, it's wise to anticipate them. Include dispute resolution mechanisms in the binding agreement, such as arbitration or mediation, to address disagreements efficiently and avoid costly litigation. 10. Keep records. Maintain a detailed record of all communications, negotiations, and documents exchanged throughout the transition process. This documentation can be crucial if disputes arise or for reference in future dealings. 11. Stay informed. Keep abreast of changes in CRE laws, regulations, and industry standards. Staying informed can help you make informed decisions and ensure that your binding agreement remains compliant and effective. 12. Closing procedures. Familiarize yourself with the closing procedures outlined in the binding agreement. Understand the steps involved in transferring ownership, funds, and property possession to ensure a seamless closing. 13. Continuous learning. Reflect on each transaction's successes and challenges to continually refine your approach. Learning from past experiences can enhance your ability to navigate future transitions effectively. 14. Seek expert guidance. When in doubt, seek guidance from experienced professionals, including legal advisors and CRE experts. Their insights can be invaluable in making informed decisions. By following these actionable steps, you can confidently transition from a term sheet to a binding agreement in your CRE transactions, minimizing risks and maximizing the potential for successful deals. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements, a strategic approach. Moving from non-binding term sheets to binding agreements in the realm of commercial real estate, CRE, involves careful planning and execution. Here's a strategic approach to navigate this crucial phase effectively. 1. Confirm mutual intent. Before proceeding, ensure that both parties share a genuine intent to move forward. Open communication is key. Parties should be aligned on the deal's core terms and objectives. 2. Legal counsel engagement. Engage legal counsel for both parties early in the process. Legal experts experienced in CRE transactions can provide invaluable guidance on drafting and reviewing documents, ensuring compliance, and protecting your interests. 3. Document the intent. While the term sheet is non-binding, it should clearly outline the key terms and conditions of the transaction. Include provisions for confidentiality and exclusivity, which can help manage the negotiation process. 4. Due diligence period. Typically, term sheets include a due diligence period during which the buyer investigates the property thoroughly. Make the most of this time to uncover any potential issues, negotiate solutions, and clarify concerns. 5. Define binding versus non-binding. Distinguish between binding and non-binding provisions in the term sheet. Be crystal clear about which elements will carry legal weight in the binding agreement and which are meant as guidelines. 6. Negotiation and amendments. Expect that some elements of the term sheet may require negotiation and revision. It's essential to maintain open and constructive discussions, ensuring that both parties are satisfied with the terms. 7. Regulatory compliance. Ensure that the transaction complies with all relevant laws, regulations, and industry standards. Legal counsel can help identify potential compliance issues and propose solutions. 8. Financial arrangements. Finalize financial arrangements, including escrow accounts and any financial instruments required to secure the transaction. Ensure that both parties are comfortable with the financial aspects. 9. Drafting the binding agreement. Legal professionals will draft the binding agreement based on the agreed upon terms. This document will include detailed provisions governing all aspects of the transaction, such as pricing, contingencies, closing date, and dispute resolution mechanisms. 10. Review and approval. Both parties should thoroughly review the binding agreement. Legal counsel should identify any potential risks or issues. After addressing any concerns, the agreement can be approved for execution. 11. Execution and signatures. Once both parties are satisfied with the binding agreement's terms, execute it by obtaining signatures. At this point, the document becomes legally binding, and parties are obligated to fulfill their respective commitments. 12. Contingency planning. Ensure that contingency plans, such as dispute resolution mechanisms and alternative solutions, are in place in case issues arise during the execution of the binding agreement. 13. Closing procedures. Familiarize yourself with the closing procedures outlined in the binding agreement. Understand the steps involved in transferring ownership, funds, and property possession to ensure a smooth closing. 14. Continuous communication. Maintain open lines of communication throughout the transition process. Transparency and cooperation are essential to address any unexpected developments swiftly. 15. Legal protections. Ensure that the binding agreement includes provisions that protect both parties' interests and define remedies in case of breaches or disputes. 16. Post-transition evaluation. After the transition is complete, Conduct a post-mortem evaluation to identify areas for improvement in future transactions. Learning from each deal can enhance your overall approach. Navigating the transition from non-binding to binding agreements in CRE transactions is a critical step. By following this strategic approach and seeking expert guidance when needed, you can increase the likelihood of successful transactions while mitigating risks. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements. Say examples. Let's explore a couple of examples to illustrate the process of transitioning from non-binding term sheets to binding agreements in commercial real estate, CRE, transactions. Example 1, Office Building Acquisition. Imagine a scenario where a real estate investment firm, CRE Invest, is interested in acquiring a prime office building in a bustling business district. They negotiate a non-binding term sheet with the seller, Prime Realty, outlining the essential terms. Here's how the transition unfolds. Ascent's intent and legal counsel. Both CRE Invest and Prime Realty express their intent to proceed with the transaction. They engage legal counsel to ensure compliance with local laws and regulations. Ascent's documenting the intent. The term sheet includes critical elements such as the purchase price, due diligence period, financing arrangements, and contingencies like property inspections. It also outlines a timeline for transitioning to a binding agreement. Ascent's due diligence period. CRE Invest conducts thorough due diligence during the stipulated period. They uncover minor environmental issues that require remediation. Both parties agree on a solution. CRE Invest will deduct the cost of remediation from the purchase price. Ascent's binding versus non-binding. The term sheet explicitly states that the purchase price, timeline, and contingencies are binding. However, non-binding elements include confidentiality and exclusivity clauses. Ascent's negotiation and amendments. CRE Invest and Prime Realty negotiate a few revisions, such as extending the due diligence period to accommodate environmental remediation. They maintain constructive dialogue throughout. Ascent's regulatory compliance. Legal counsel ensures the transaction complies with local zoning regulations and environmental laws, addressing any compliance issues that arise. Ascent's drafting the binding agreement. Legal professionals draft the binding agreement, incorporating the agreed-upon terms. This document includes specifics about the remediation process, allocation of costs, and the adjusted purchase price. Ascent's review and approval. Both parties review the binding agreement with their legal teams. They identify no further issues and proceed with execution. Ascent's execution and signatures. CRE Invest and Prime Realty sign the binding agreement, and it becomes legally enforceable. The agreed-upon timeline for closing and transfer of ownership is initiated. Ascent's contingency planning. The binding agreement outlines dispute resolution mechanisms if either party fails to meet their obligations. These mechanisms provide a roadmap for addressing potential issues. Ascent's closing procedures. CRE Invest follows the agreed-upon closing procedures, transferring the funds and taking possession of the office building. Prime Realty provides all necessary documentation, and the transaction is completed smoothly. Example 2, Retail Center Development. In another scenario, urban developers plans to develop a retail center in a growing suburban area. They negotiate a non-binding term sheet with Landowners United, who own the land. Here's how the transition unfolds. Ascent's intent and legal counsel. Urban developers and Landowners United express their mutual intent to proceed. Legal counsel is engaged to navigate zoning and land use regulations. Ascent's documenting the intent. The term sheet outlines the purchase price for the land, development timelines, zoning contingencies, and obligations for both parties. It also defines the transition to a binding agreement. Ascent's due diligence period. Urban developers conduct due diligence, discovering that a zoning variance is required. They work with Landowners United to secure the variance and extend the term sheet's timeline accordingly. Ascent's binding versus non-binding. The term sheet specifies that the purchase price and zoning contingencies are binding, while other clauses are non-binding. Ascent's negotiation and amendments. Urban developers and Landowners United negotiate an amendment to the term sheet to account for the zoning variance and the adjusted timeline. They collaborate closely throughout the process. Ascent's regulatory compliance. Legal counsel ensures that the development plan adheres to local zoning ordinances and obtains the necessary permits. Ascent's drafting the binding agreement. Legal experts draft the binding agreement, emphasizing the binding clauses related to the purchase price and zoning contingencies. The document includes specifics about the zoning variance. Ascent's review and approval. Both parties review the binding agreement and its provisions, finding no further issues to address. They proceed with signing. Ascent's execution and signatures. Urban developers and Landowners United sign the binding agreement. The development project proceeds according to the agreed-upon timeline, with milestones and payments clearly defined. Ascent's contingency planning. The binding agreement outlines dispute resolution procedures in case of non-compliance with the agreed-upon obligations. These mechanisms provide a structured approach to addressing potential disputes. Ascent's closing procedures. Urban developers make payments according to the binding agreement. and Landowners United transfers ownership of the land. The retail center development progresses as planned. These examples demonstrate the importance of a structured transition process from non-binding term sheets to binding agreements in CRE transactions. Clear communication, legal counsel, and adaptability are key factors in navigating such transitions successfully. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements. Explanations. Transitioning from non-binding term sheets to binding agreements is a crucial phase in any commercial real estate (CRE) transaction. This process involves several key steps and considerations. 1. Expression of intent. Both parties, the buyer and seller, or other relevant parties, express their intent to move forward with the transaction. This typically occurs after a period of negotiation and mutual understanding, as outlined in the non-binding term sheet. It's important to note that non-binding term sheets serve as preliminary agreements that outline the basic terms and conditions of the deal. They are not legally enforceable documents. 2. Legal counsel involvement. Engaging legal counsel is essential during this phase. Legal professionals play a pivotal role in ensuring that the transition from non-binding to binding agreements complies with relevant laws and regulations, including zoning ordinances, environmental laws, and contractual obligations. They help structure the agreement in a way that protects the interests of both parties. 3. Documenting the intent. The non-binding term sheet is the starting point for transitioning to a binding agreement. It includes critical elements such as the purchase price, due diligence period, financing arrangements, and any contingencies or conditions. The term sheet also outlines a timeline for when the transition to a binding agreement should occur. During this period, both parties may conduct due diligence to confirm the accuracy of the information provided in the term sheet. 4. Determining binding versus non-binding elements. Not all elements of the term sheet are necessarily binding. Commonly, financial aspects such as the purchase price and earnest money are binding, while other elements like confidentiality or exclusivity clauses might remain non-binding. The term sheet should clearly delineate which terms are binding and which are not. 5. Negotiation and amendments. As due diligence is conducted, it's possible that new information may come to light or that the parties identify aspects of the transaction that need further negotiation or clarification. These issues can be addressed through amendments to the term sheet. Effective communication and cooperation are crucial during this phase to ensure both parties' expectations align. 6. Regulatory compliance. Legal professionals ensure that the proposed transaction complies with all relevant laws and regulations. In real estate transactions, this may include zoning regulations, environmental requirements, and property use restrictions. Any compliance issues that arise must be addressed before moving forward. 7. Drafting the binding agreement. Once all issues and contingencies are resolved, the legal teams draft the binding agreement. This document incorporates all the agreed upon terms, conditions, and amendments. It provides the legal framework for the transaction and is a legally enforceable contract. 8. Review and approval. Both parties review the binding agreement in detail with their respective legal teams to ensure accuracy and compliance. This review process is crucial in identifying any discrepancies or potential issues that need resolution. 9. Execution and signatures. After the review process, both parties sign the binding agreement, signifying their commitment to abide by its terms and conditions. The binding agreement becomes a legally enforceable contract at this point. 10. Contingency planning. The binding agreement should include dispute resolution mechanisms in case either party fails to meet their obligations. These mechanisms provide a roadmap for addressing potential disputes and conflicts during the transaction. 11. Closing procedures. Following the execution of the binding agreement, both parties proceed with the agreed upon closing procedures. This typically involves the transfer of funds, property ownership, and other necessary documentation to complete the transaction. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements requires careful planning, legal expertise, and effective communication. It's a critical step in ensuring that the parties involved in a CRE transaction can move forward with confidence, knowing that their interests and obligations are well defined and legally protected. Transitioning from non-binding term sheets to binding agreements in a commercial real estate (CRE) transaction is a complex process that requires careful attention to detail and legal expertise. Here is some actionable advice to navigate this crucial phase effectively. 1. Engage legal counsel early. From the moment you decide to pursue a CRE transaction, involve legal counsel. Experienced real estate attorneys will guide you through the process, ensure compliance with all legal requirements, and protect your interests. 2. Understand the non-binding nature. Be clear on what aspects of the term sheet are non-binding and which are binding. Typically, financial elements like the purchase price and earnest money are binding, while other clauses may remain non-binding. This understanding will help you manage expectations. 3. Conduct thorough due diligence. Use the due diligence period outlined in the term sheet wisely. This is your opportunity to verify the accuracy of the information provided in the term sheet. Consider property inspections, financial audits, and legal reviews to identify any potential issues. 4. Communicate openly. Maintain open and transparent communication with the other party. If any discrepancies or issues arise during due diligence, discuss them promptly and work together to find solutions. Constructive communication can prevent misunderstandings and disputes. 5. Define contingencies clearly. If there are contingencies or conditions in the term sheet that must be met before the transaction can proceed, clearly define them in the binding agreement. Establish a timeline for meeting these conditions and specify the consequences if they are not met. 6. Address potential pitfalls. Anticipate potential pitfalls and negotiate terms in advance to mitigate risks. This includes addressing issues related to zoning, environmental concerns, title disputes, or financing contingencies. Your legal counsel should be proactive in identifying and resolving these issues. 7. Document amendments. If any changes or amendments to the term sheet are required during the transition, document them clearly. Make sure both parties understand and agree to these changes before proceeding. 8. Comply with regulations. Ensure that your transaction complies with all relevant regulations, including zoning laws, environmental regulations, and financing requirements. Non-compliance can lead to costly delays or legal issues. 9. Consider dispute resolution. Include a dispute resolution mechanism in the binding agreement. Arbitration or mediation clauses can be helpful in resolving disputes without resorting to costly litigation. 10. Review thoroughly. Prior to signing the binding agreement, conduct a comprehensive review with your legal team. Scrutinize every clause and provision to make sure it aligns with your intentions and interests. 11. Plan for contingencies. Develop contingency plans for unforeseen circumstances that may arise before or during the closing process. Having backup plans in place can prevent unnecessary delays or deal failures. 12. Execute promptly. Once both parties are satisfied with the binding agreement and all conditions are met, execute the agreement promptly to ensure a smooth transition to the closing phase. 13. Maintain transparency. Continue to communicate openly and honestly with the other party throughout the closing process. Transparency can help build trust and facilitate a successful transaction. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements is a critical step in any CRE transaction. Following these actionable tips, working closely with legal experts, and fostering clear communication will increase your chances of a successful and legally sound real estate deal. Navigating the legal and regulatory landscape is a critical aspect of any commercial real estate (CRE) transaction. This page delves into the key legal and regulatory considerations when structuring a CRE deal. Understanding legal and regulatory considerations in CRE. 1. Local zoning and land use laws. Municipalities have zoning ordinances that dictate how properties can be used. It's vital to ensure your proposed use aligns with local zoning regulations. Seek legal counsel to navigate zoning changes or variances if necessary. 2. Environmental regulations. Environmental due diligence is essential to identify any potential environmental issues, such as contamination or hazardous materials, on the property. Non-compliance with environmental laws can result in significant liabilities. 3. Title and ownership. A comprehensive title search is conducted to verify property ownership and any existing liens or encumbrances. Ensuring clear title is crucial to a clean transaction. 4. Contracts and agreements. Drafting clear and legally binding contracts, including purchase agreements, leases, and financing documents, is essential. Legal experts should review these contracts to protect your interests. 5. Tax considerations. Understand the tax implications of your CRE transaction. Property taxes, capital gains taxes, and other tax liabilities can significantly impact your bottom line. Consult with tax professionals to optimize your tax strategy. 6. Financing and lending laws. If you are securing financing for your CRE deal, be aware of lending regulations and requirements. Lenders may have specific criteria for loan approval. 7. Securities laws. If you are raising capital from multiple investors, you may be subject to securities laws. Compliance with these laws is essential to avoid legal troubles. Consult legal experts who specialize in securities regulations. 8. Landlord-tenant laws. If your CRE property involves leasing to tenants, familiarize yourself with landlord-tenant laws. These laws govern lease agreements, tenant rights, and eviction procedures. 9. Construction and building codes. Compliance with building codes and regulations is essential, especially if renovations or construction are part of your CRE project. Non-compliance can lead to delays, fines, or project stoppages. 10. Regulatory approvals. Some CRE projects, especially larger developments, may require various regulatory approvals, such as permits, licenses, or environmental impact assessments. Plan for these processes and engage with regulatory authorities as needed. 11. Intellectual property and trademarks. In cases where branding or intellectual property is involved, Protect your trademarks and intellectual property rights through proper legal channels. 12. Compliance with fair housing laws. If your CRE project involves residential properties, adhere to fair housing laws to prevent discrimination in tenant selection and leasing practices. Actionable steps for legal and regulatory compliance. 1. Engage legal counsel. Consult with experienced real estate attorneys who specialize in CRE transactions. They will guide you through the legal intricacies and help you avoid pitfalls. 2. Conduct due diligence. Rigorously investigate all legal and regulatory aspects of the property and transaction during the due diligence period. 3. Stay current. Laws and regulations change over time. Stay informed about updates in real estate law and regulations that may affect your transaction. 4. Document everything. Proper documentation is crucial for legal protection. Keep records of all communications, agreements, and compliance efforts. 5. Seek expert advice. When in doubt, consult with experts in specific areas such as tax, environmental, or securities law to ensure compliance. 6. Plan for contingencies. Develop contingency plans to address any unexpected legal or regulatory challenges that may arise during the transaction. 7. Review contracts carefully. Ensure that all contracts and agreements are drafted with precision, and have them reviewed by legal professionals before execution. Navigating the legal and regulatory aspects of CRE transactions can be complex, but with careful attention to detail and expert guidance, you can mitigate risks and ensure a smooth and compliant deal. Legal and regulatory considerations in CRE. Real-world examples. Navigating the complex legal and regulatory landscape of commercial real estate, CRE, often requires learning from real-world examples. Here are some illustrative cases that highlight the significance of these considerations. 1. Environmental compliance. Love Canal disaster. A sense case overview. In the 1970s, the Love Canal neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York, became a symbol of environmental disaster. A housing development was built on top of a former chemical waste dump, leading to toxic chemicals seeping into the ground. A sense lesson. This tragic case underscores the importance of rigorous environmental due diligence. Proper assessments can prevent acquiring contaminated properties and the legal liabilities that follow. 2. Title issues. Lehman Brothers and MF Global. A sense case overview. Lehman Brothers and MF Global both faced issues with unclear titles and ownership in their real estate investments. These title problems complicated their bankruptcies and asset liquidation processes. A sense lesson. Clear title research and due diligence are fundamental. Issues with title can disrupt property transactions and lead to lengthy legal battles. 3. Zoning regulations. Airbnb vs. City of New York. A sense case overview. In 2018, Airbnb sued the City of New York over its short-term rental regulations, which were aimed at regulating Airbnb's operations. The lawsuit challenged the legality of these regulations. A sense lesson. Local zoning laws can significantly impact short-term rental investments. Understanding and complying with zoning regulations is crucial to avoid legal conflicts. 4. Tax implications. Trump Organization's property deals. A sense case overview. Various property deals involving the Trump Organization have faced scrutiny for their tax implications. Critics have alleged that certain transactions were designed to avoid tax liabilities. A sense lesson. Tax considerations are paramount in CRE deals. Proper tax planning and compliance are essential to avoid legal and financial repercussions. 5. Securities law. Real estate crowdfunding platforms. A sense case overview. Several real estate crowdfunding platforms have faced legal challenges related to securities laws. Regulatory bodies like the SEC have scrutinized these platforms for compliance with securities regulations. A sense lesson. Raising capital from multiple investors may subject CRE projects to securities laws. Compliance with these laws, including proper disclosures, is vital. 6. Landlord-tenant disputes. Rent control laws in California. A sense case overview. California's rent control laws have resulted in disputes between landlords and tenants. These laws limit rent increases and provide tenant protections. A sense lesson. Understanding and adhering to local landlord-tenant laws is crucial for CRE investors, especially in regions with rent control regulations. 7. Building code compliance. Grenfell Tower fire, London. A sense case overview. The Grenfell Tower fire in London resulted in significant loss of life and property. Investigations revealed that the building did not meet fire safety regulations. A sense lesson. Compliance with building codes and safety regulations is paramount in CRE, as non-compliance can lead to catastrophic events and legal liabilities. These are real-world examples emphasize the critical role that legal and regulatory considerations play in commercial real estate investments. They underscore the importance of conducting thorough due diligence, seeking legal counsel, and staying compliant with relevant laws and regulations to mitigate risks and ensure successful CRE transactions. Actionable advice. Navigating legal and regulatory considerations in commercial real estate. Legal and regulatory considerations are at the heart of any successful commercial real estate (CRE) venture. Here's a set of actionable advice to help you navigate this complex landscape effectively. 1. Hire experienced legal counsel. Seek expertise. Invest in experienced real estate attorneys who specialize in CRE transactions. They can provide invaluable guidance and help you avoid legal pitfalls. 2. Conduct comprehensive due diligence. Environmental assessments. Conduct thorough environmental due diligence, including Phase I and, if necessary, Phase 2 environmental assessments to identify and address any contamination issues. Title research. Ensure clear title ownership by conducting meticulous title searches and resolving any discrepancies or liens. Zoning and land use. Understand local zoning laws, land use regulations, and building codes. Ensure your planned use aligns with the property zoning classification. 3. Comply with securities laws. Know the rules. If you plan to raise capital from investors, familiarize yourself with securities laws and regulations that apply to real estate offerings. Consult with legal experts to ensure compliance. 4. Tax planning and compliance. Tax advisors. Collaborate with tax professionals who specialize in real estate to develop tax-efficient strategies. Stay updated on changes in tax laws and leverage available incentives. 5. Stay informed about local laws. Rent control and tenant laws. If you're involved in residential real estate, especially in rent-controlled areas, stay current with tenant protection laws and rent regulations. 6. Documentation and contracts. Clear agreements. Draft clear and comprehensive contracts that outline all terms and conditions, including contingencies, responsibilities, and dispute resolution mechanisms. Review periodically. Regularly review and update contracts to reflect changes in laws and regulations. 7. Risk mitigation. Insurance. Invest in suitable insurance coverage, such as property, liability, and environmental insurance, to mitigate potential risks. Risk assessments. Conduct risk assessments to identify and mitigate potential hazards or liabilities. 8. Community engagement. Engage locally. Establish positive relationships with local communities and authorities. Engaging proactively can help navigate permitting and zoning challenges. 9. Continuous education. Stay informed. CRE regulations evolve, so commit to ongoing education. Attend seminars, workshops, and webinars to stay updated on changes that affect your investments. 10. Ethical practices. Ethical standards. Adhere to high ethical standards in your transactions. Maintain transparency and honesty with all stakeholders, which can prevent legal disputes. 11. Legal technology tools. Utilize legal tech. Leverage legal technology tools to streamline documentation, contract management, and compliance tracking. 12. Compliance audits. Regular audits. Conduct periodic compliance audits to ensure your investments continue to align with legal and regulatory requirements. 13. Consult experts for specifics. Specialized guidance, for complex issues like tax structuring, securities compliance, or environmental remediation. Engage experts in those specific fields. 14. Contingency planning. Plan for disputes. Develop a dispute resolution plan in case legal issues arise, and include this in your contracts. 15. Network and collaboration. Peer interaction. Network with peers in the CRE industry and share insights on navigating legal and regulatory challenges. By proactively addressing legal and regulatory considerations and seeking professional advice when needed, you can safeguard your CRE investments and build a strong foundation for success in this dynamic field. Remember, compliance and risk mitigation are integral parts of a sustainable and profitable real estate portfolio. Engaging legal and financial advisors. A critical step in commercial real estate. Engaging legal and financial advisors is a pivotal decision in your commercial real estate (CRE) journey. These professionals play a crucial role in helping you navigate complex legal and financial landscapes. Here's a detailed exploration of why and how to engage them effectively. Why engage legal and financial advisors? 1. Expertise in real estate law. Real estate transactions involve intricate legalities. Attorneys who specialize in real estate are well versed in property laws, contracts, zoning regulations, and more. Their expertise ensures that your investments comply with local, state, and federal regulations. 2. Risk mitigation. Legal advisors help identify potential risks and liabilities associated with CRE investments. They work to mitigate these risks through meticulous due diligence and contractual safeguards, protecting your interests. 3. Compliance assurance. In the CRE world, compliance with securities laws and regulations is paramount, especially when dealing with investors. Legal advisors ensure your fundraising and investment activities adhere to legal frameworks. 4. Contracts and negotiations. Skilled lawyers are adept at crafting contracts that protect your rights, specify responsibilities, and provide clear dispute resolution mechanisms. They negotiate on your behalf to secure favorable terms. 5. Tax efficiency. Financial advisors with expertise in real estate taxation help structure your investments to maximize tax benefits and minimize liabilities. This can significantly impact your overall returns. 6. Financial modeling. Financial advisors assist in creating robust financial models for your investments. These models provide insights into cash flow projections, return on investment, ROI, and investment performance. How to engage legal and financial advisors effectively. 1. Assess your needs. Clearly define your requirements. Determine whether you need both legal and financial advisors or just one based on your specific circumstances. 2. Research and interview. Seek recommendations from trusted sources and conduct interviews. Inquire about their experience in CRE, their approach to problem solving, and their familiarity with your target market. 3. Specialization matters. Choose advisors with specialization in commercial real estate. Their industry-specific knowledge is invaluable. 4. Check references. Ask for references and follow up with previous clients to gauge their satisfaction and the results achieved. 5. Fee structure. Discuss fee arrangements upfront. Some advisors charge hourly, while others work on a retainer or contingency basis. Ensure you understand the costs involved. 6. Collaboration and communication. Establish clear lines of communication with your advisors. Maintain open and transparent communication to ensure they fully grasp your objectives. 7. Involve them early. Engage advisors at the early stages of your CRE endeavors. They can provide critical input during property selection, due diligence, and contract negotiations. 8. Leverage their networks. Legal and financial advisors often have extensive networks. They can introduce you to potential partners, investors, or other professionals who can add value to your ventures. 9. Stay informed. While advisors provide expertise, stay informed about developments in CRE, legal changes, and financial trends. This knowledge empowers you to make informed decisions. 10. Regular updates. Ensure that you receive regular updates and reports on your investment's performance, legal compliance, and financial health. 11. Ethical standards. Select advisors who uphold high ethical standards. Ethical conduct is non-negotiable in CRE transactions. 12. Evaluate their advice. Advisors provide recommendations, but you must critically evaluate them and make decisions that align with your objectives. Engaging legal and financial advisors is an investment in the success and security of your CRE ventures. These professionals bring knowledge, experience, and insight to the table, enabling you to navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and build a robust and profitable real estate portfolio. Engaging legal and financial advisors is a common practice in the commercial real estate, CRE, industry. Here are some relevant examples of how investors and real estate firms have benefited from their expertise. 1. Risk mitigation in complex transactions. A sense example. A real estate development company engaged a seasoned real estate attorney when acquiring a historic property for redevelopment. The attorney conducted thorough due diligence, uncovering potential zoning issues and historical preservation requirements. Through skillful negotiation and legal guidance, they navigated the complexities, ensuring the project met all legal requirements, thus safeguarding the investment. 2. Tax efficiency and structuring. A sense example. An investor planning to purchase multiple apartment buildings sought the counsel of a financial advisor with expertise in real estate taxation. The advisor devised a tax-efficient strategy that involved setting up a real estate investment trust, REIT, structure. This minimized tax liabilities and enhanced overall returns on the portfolio. 3. Legal compliance in fundraising. A sense example. A startup CRE fund sought to raise capital from high-net-worth individuals and institutional investors. They enlisted the services of a legal firm specializing in securities laws. The attorneys ensured that the fund's private placement memorandum, PPM, and subscription documents complied with securities regulations, thereby safeguarding against potential legal issues in the future. 4. Negotiating favorable terms. A sense example. A real estate developer aimed to secure a favorable land lease agreement with a municipality for a large-scale mixed-use project. They engaged a legal advisor experienced in municipal negotiations. The attorney skillfully negotiated terms related to lease duration, rent escalations, and development incentives, resulting in a more profitable venture. 5. Financial modeling and forecasting. A sense example. A real estate investment firm wanted to analyze the feasibility of a major retail acquisition. They enlisted a financial advisor with expertise in CRE financial modeling. The advisor constructed detailed financial models, providing insights into projected cash flows, return on investment, and sensitivity analyses. This data guided the investment decision. 6. Investor relations and reporting. A sense example. A well-established CRE fund with a diverse investor base hired a financial advisor to manage investor relations. The advisor regularly communicated fund performance, distributed financial reports, and organized investor meetings. This level of transparency and professionalism enhanced investor confidence and encouraged continued investment. 7. Legal support for joint ventures. A sense example. Two real estate firms decided to collaborate on a large-scale mixed-use development project. They engaged a legal team experienced in structuring joint ventures. The attorneys assisted in drafting a comprehensive joint venture agreement that clearly outlined each party's rights, responsibilities, and exit strategies, minimizing potential disputes. These examples illustrate how engaging legal and financial advisors can be instrumental in navigating the intricacies of CRE investments. Whether it's mitigating risks, optimizing tax strategies, ensuring legal compliance, or facilitating complex negotiations, these professionals bring valuable expertise to the table, contributing to the success of real estate ventures. Engaging legal and financial advisors is a critical step in ensuring the success and security of your commercial real estate, CRE, ventures. Here's some actionable advice on how to make the most of this partnership. 1. Identify your needs. A sense before seeking advisors. Clearly define your specific needs and objectives. Determine whether you require legal expertise for transactional matters, compliance, or contract negotiation, or financial guidance for investment analysis, tax planning, or fund management. 2. Vet potential advisors. ASINs conduct thorough due diligence when selecting legal and financial advisors. Look for professionals with relevant experience in the CRE sector. Consider factors such as their track record, industry reputation, and client references. 3. Build a collaborative relationship. ASINs establish open lines of communication and a collaborative relationship with your advisors. They should be viewed as trusted partners who understand your goals and are committed to helping you achieve them. 4. Involve them early. ASINs engage advisors early in the decision-making process. Their input can be invaluable in evaluating the feasibility of a real estate deal or structuring an investment fund. Early involvement allows them to proactively address potential issues. 5. Seek specialization. ASINs choose advisors who specialize in the specific area of your CRE project or fund. For instance, if you're dealing with multifamily properties, consider a legal advisor with expertise in residential real estate law. 6. Collaborate for risk mitigation. ASINs work closely with legal advisors to identify and mitigate risks. They can help you structure transactions and contracts to minimize potential legal issues or disputes down the road. 7. Financial modeling and analysis. ASINs collaborate with financial advisors to develop detailed financial models and projections. These models can provide insights into potential returns, risks, and strategies for optimizing investment performance. 8. Legal compliance. ASINs ensure that your advisors are well-versed in legal compliance and regulatory requirements, especially when raising capital or structuring investment funds. Compliance is critical to avoiding legal complications. 9. Negotiation skills. ASINs leverage the negotiation skills of your legal advisors. They can help you secure favorable terms in contracts, lease agreements, and joint ventures, maximizing your profitability. 10. Regular updates. ASINs maintain ongoing communication with your advisors. Regular updates on project or fund progress, market conditions, and any emerging issues are essential for informed decision-making. 11. Evaluate costs. ASINs understand the cost structure of engaging advisors and ensure that their fees align with the value they bring. Assess whether the potential benefits outweigh the costs. 12. Legal documentation. ASINs collaborate closely with legal advisors to draft and review all legal documentation thoroughly. This includes contracts, leases, partnership agreements, and any other legal instruments related to your CRE activities. 13. Tax planning. ASINs engage financial advisors with expertise in tax planning to optimize tax efficiencies for your CRE investments. Tax planning can significantly impact your overall returns. 14. Be proactive. ASINs anticipate challenges and seek proactive solutions with the guidance of your advisors. A proactive approach can save time and resources in the long run. Remember that your legal and financial advisors are essential partners on your CRE journey. By fostering a collaborative and informed relationship with them, you can navigate the complexities of the real estate market with greater confidence and success. Finalizing a commercial real estate, CRE, deal involves a series of crucial steps, culminating in signing and closing the transaction. Here's a comprehensive guide on how to navigate this critical phase. 1. Due diligence completion. ASINs before moving to the closing table, ensure that all due diligence tasks are completed successfully. This includes property inspections, title searches, environmental assessments, and financial reviews. Any issues uncovered during due diligence should be addressed and resolved. 2. Final negotiations. ASINs finalize the terms of the deal. This may involve additional negotiations, adjustments, or clarifications based on the findings during due diligence. Engage with legal advisors to ensure that the final agreement reflects these negotiated terms accurately. 3. Sign a purchase agreement. Since draft and sign a legally binding purchase agreement that outlines all the details of the transaction. This document should include the purchase price, earnest money deposit, contingencies, closing date, and any special conditions or concessions agreed upon by both parties. 4. Secure financing. Since if you're securing financing for the purchase, work closely with your lender to ensure that all financing requirements are met. This includes providing necessary documentation, completing underwriting, and securing loan approval. 5. Title and escrow services. Since engage a title company or attorney to conduct a thorough title search and provide title insurance. Escrow services will hold funds in a secure account until all conditions of the deal are met. 6. Final property walkthrough. Since conduct a final walkthrough of the property just before closing to ensure it's in the agreed upon condition and that all included fixtures and appliances are present and functioning. 7. Funds transfer. Since coordinate with the escrow company to transfer funds, including the purchase price, closing costs, and any prorated expenses, to the seller. This is typically done via wire transfer. 8. Execute legal documents. Since legal advisors should oversee the execution of all necessary legal documents, including the deed, bill of sale, and any lease agreements if applicable. These documents transfer ownership and define the rights and responsibilities of the parties involved. 9. Closing costs. Since ensure that all closing costs, including property taxes, insurance premiums, and attorney fees, are paid in accordance with the terms of the purchase agreement. 10. Recording of documents. Following the signing, the deed and other relevant documents must be recorded with the appropriate government agency. This legally establishes your ownership of the property. 11. Possession and handover. Coordinate with the seller for the possession and handover of keys, access codes, and any necessary documentation related to the property. This step ensures a smooth transition. 12. Post-closing responsibilities. After closing, there are still responsibilities to manage. Ensure utility accounts are transferred, leases are honored, and any transition plans for tenants or property management are executed smoothly. 13. Celebrate and plan for next steps. Celebrate the successful closing of the deal, but also plan for the next steps in your CRE investment journey. Consider property management, asset improvement, and long-term strategy. 14. Legal and financial post-closing compliance. Work closely with your legal and financial advisors to ensure that all post-closing compliance, tax reporting, and ongoing legal obligations are met. Navigating the finalization of a CRE deal is intricate and requires careful coordination. Engaging experienced legal advisors, real estate professionals, and a qualified title company or attorney is essential to ensuring a successful closing. This phase marks the transition from a real estate transaction to the ownership and management of a valuable asset in your CRE portfolio. Finalizing the deal through signing and closing in commercial real estate, CRE, involves various scenarios and considerations. Here are some relevant examples to illustrate the diversity of these transactions. 1. Office building purchase. Since imagine a scenario where a real estate investment company is acquiring a large office building in a prime business district. After extensive due diligence and negotiations, the parties agree on a purchase price, and the purchase agreement is signed. On the closing day, funds are transferred to the seller, the deed is recorded, and the new owner takes possession. The property will undergo rebranding and renovation, and new leases will be executed with incoming tenants to maximize its income potential. 2. Retail center sale and leaseback. Since a retail chain with multiple locations decides to sell one of its properties, a retail center, to raise capital for expansion, they enter into a sale and leaseback agreement with an investor. After signing the agreement, the transaction closes, and the investor becomes the landlord. The retail chain continues to operate its store within the property, paying rent to the new owner. This strategy allows the retailer to access cash tied up in real estate while maintaining its business presence. 3. Multifamily development financing. Since a developer plans to construct a luxury multifamily apartment complex, to secure financing, they work with a lender and sign a loan agreement with specific terms, including interest rates, repayment schedules, and construction milestones. Upon meeting the milestones, the developer draws down funds from the loan to cover construction costs. After the project is completed and fully leased, the loan is repaid through rental income. 4. Industrial warehouse acquisition with tenant transition. Since an investor purchases a large industrial warehouse facility with an existing tenant, the purchase agreement outlines the transfer of the lease to the new owner. After closing, the investor works closely with the tenant to ensure a smooth transition. This may involve negotiating lease amendments, addressing tenant concerns, and coordinating maintenance and repairs. The investor's goal is to maintain a positive tenant relationship while optimizing the property's performance. 5. Mixed-use property development. Since in a mixed-use development project, A real estate developer acquires a parcel of land and plans to build a complex with retail, office space. In residential units, they secure financing through a complex structure involving both debt and equity investors. The closing process includes the execution of multiple agreements, including joint venture agreements, construction loans, and lease agreements with prospective retail and office tenants. The project's success depends on meticulous legal and financial coordination. These examples highlight the diverse nature of commercial real estate transactions, from straightforward purchases to complex financing arrangements and development projects. Each scenario involves unique considerations, negotiations, and legal and financial documents that must be carefully managed to ensure a successful closing and transition. Regardless of the complexity, the key to a smooth closing is thorough planning, clear communication, and adherence to legal and regulatory requirements. Finalizing the deal in commercial real estate, CRE, through signing and closing is a crucial phase in any transaction. This process involves a series of steps and considerations to ensure that all parties involved in the transaction fulfill their obligations and that the transfer of ownership or rights occurs smoothly. Here are detailed explanations of the key aspects of finalizing the deal in CRE. 1. Signing the agreement. Since the first step in finalizing a CRE deal is the signing of the agreement. This agreement can take various forms, such as a purchase and sale agreement, a lease agreement, or a financing agreement, depending on the nature of the transaction. The agreement outlines the terms and conditions agreed upon by the buyer, seller, lender, tenant, or other relevant parties. 2. Due diligence completion. Since before proceeding to closing, both parties typically complete their due diligence. This involves a thorough examination of the property, financial records, legal documents, and other relevant information. The buyer, for example, may conduct property inspections, review title documents, and analyze financial statements to ensure that there are no undisclosed issues or risks associated with the property. 3. Financing arrangements. Since in many CRE transactions, financing is a critical component. If the buyer is obtaining a mortgage or other financing, this phase involves finalizing the loan documents and securing the necessary funds. Lenders may have specific requirements, such as appraisals and insurance, that need to be satisfied before closing. 4. Title examination and insurance. Since a title company or attorney typically conducts a title search to verify that the property's title is clear and can be legally transferred. Title insurance may also be obtained to protect against any unforeseen title defects or claims that may arise in the future. 5. Escrow and earnest money. Since in many CRE transactions, earnest money is deposited into an escrow account to demonstrate the buyer's serious intent to purchase the property. These funds are held by a neutral third party until closing. If the transaction proceeds as planned, the earnest money is applied toward the purchase price. 6. Closing documents. Since both parties, along with their legal representatives, review and sign a series of documents at the closing table. These documents may include the deed of transfer, loan documents, bill of sale, for personal property, and any required disclosures. Each party may have their attorney present to ensure the documents align with their interests. 7. Funds transfer. Since on the closing day, the buyer provides the funds required to complete the purchase. This may include the purchase price, closing costs, and any applicable fees. These funds are typically wired to an escrow account. 8. Recording and possession. Since after all documents are signed, and funds are exchanged, the deed is recorded with the appropriate government office. Recording the deed legally transfers ownership from the seller to the buyer. Depending on the transaction, possession of the property may also change hands on the closing day. 9. Post-closing obligations. Since after the closing, both parties may have post-closing obligations. For example, the seller may need to vacate the property and deliver any agreed-upon items, while the buyer may need to ensure that utilities and services are transferred to their name. 10. Notification of parties. Since following the closing, all relevant parties, including the title company, lender, real estate agents, and attorneys, are notified that the transaction has been successfully completed. Finalizing a CRE deal through signing and closing is a complex process that requires careful coordination and adherence to legal and regulatory requirements. It's essential for all parties to work closely together to ensure a smooth transition of ownership or rights and to address any unexpected issues that may arise during the closing process. Effective communication and attention to detail are key to a successful closing in commercial real estate. Finalizing a commercial real estate deal through signing and closing is a critical step that demands attention to detail and thorough preparation. Here is actionable advice to help ensure a smooth and successful closing. 1. Prepare in advance. Since begin preparations well in advance of the scheduled closing date. Delays can be costly and frustrating for all parties involved. Ensure that all required documents, including financial records and legal paperwork, are in order. 2. Communicate effectively. Since maintain open and clear communication with all parties involved, including buyers, sellers, lenders, real estate agents, attorneys, and title companies. Regular updates and timely responses to inquiries can help prevent misunderstandings and delays. 3. Review all documents. ASINs carefully review all documents before the closing date. This includes the purchase and sale agreement, loan documents, title reports, and any other relevant paperwork. Make sure you understand the terms and conditions of the agreement fully. 4. Verify financial arrangements. ASINs if financing is involved, ensure that all financial arrangements are in place before closing. This includes having the necessary funds available in your account and confirming that the lender is ready to disburse the loan amount. 5. Perform due diligence. ASINs continue due diligence activities until the last moment. Inspect the property, review all inspection reports, and verify that any repairs or agreed upon changes have been completed to your satisfaction. 6. Secure insurance. ASINs arrange for insurance coverage as required. This may include property insurance, title insurance, or other policies necessary to protect your interests. 7. Conduct a final walkthrough. ASINs just before closing, perform a final walkthrough of the property to ensure it is in the condition you expect. Verify that fixtures, appliances, and any other items included in the sale are present and in working order. 8. Prepare funds for closing. ASINs ensure you have the necessary funds ready for closing. These may include the purchase price, closing costs, title fees, and any other expenses. Coordinate with your financial institution to transfer these funds in a timely manner. 9. Be patient and flexible. ASINs realize that unexpected issues can arise, causing delays or requiring last-minute adjustments. Maintain a patient and flexible attitude, and work with your real estate professionals to find solutions. 10. Attend the closing in person. ASINs whenever possible, attend the closing in person rather than relying solely on digital or remote methods. Being physically present allows you to address any questions or concerns that may arise during the closing process. 11. Review closing documents carefully. ASINs take your time reviewing all closing documents. Ensure that they accurately reflect the terms of the agreement and that there are no discrepancies or unexpected changes. 12. Keep records. ASINs maintain copies of all closing documents and related correspondence for your records. These documents can be valuable for future reference or potential legal matters. 13. Celebrate responsibly. ASINs after a successful closing, it's natural to feel relieved and excited. However, remember to celebrate responsibly, as there may still be post-closing obligations and responsibilities to address. By following these actionable steps and staying organized, you can help ensure a smooth and successful closing of your commercial real estate transaction. Being well prepared and proactive can minimize stress and potential setbacks during this critical phase of the deal. In conclusion, Chapter 8 has provided a comprehensive overview of the journey from a non-binding term sheet to a legally binding agreement in the realm of commercial real estate. It has covered essential aspects such as transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements, legal and regulatory considerations, engaging legal and financial advisors, and the critical finalization of the deal through signing and closing. Throughout this chapter, we've emphasized the importance of clarity, transparency, and careful planning in each stage of the process. Here are some key takeaways from this chapter. 1. Transitioning to binding agreements. We discuss the pivotal moment when a term sheet transitions into a legally binding agreement. Understanding the implications of this transition and ensuring that all parties are on the same page is vital. 2. Legal and regulatory considerations. The chapter underscored the significance of adhering to legal and regulatory requirements in real estate transactions. Compliance is non-negotiable, and a failure to meet these obligations can lead to serious consequences. 3. Engaging legal and financial advisors. We emphasize the role of legal and financial advisors in guiding you through complex agreements and financial aspects of the deal. Their expertise can help you navigate potential pitfalls and protect your interests. 4. Finalizing the deal. The chapter highlighted the importance of meticulous preparation, communication, and due diligence when finalizing a real estate transaction. Attention to detail during the closing process can prevent costly mistakes and ensure a smooth transfer of ownership. In essence, this chapter has served as a roadmap for real estate professionals, investors, and anyone involved in commercial real estate deals. It has illuminated the path from initial negotiations, through the intricacies of legal compliance, to the celebratory moment of signing and closing. Success in real estate transactions hinges on a combination of industry knowledge, legal acumen, financial diligence, and the ability to forge collaborative relationships with advisors and partners. By applying the principles outlined in this chapter, you'll be better equipped to navigate the complexities of real estate agreements and achieve successful outcomes in your commercial real estate endeavors. Chapter 8 has provided a comprehensive understanding of the critical steps involved in moving from a non-binding term sheet to a binding agreement in the context of commercial real estate transactions. Here are the key points to remember from this chapter. Transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements. 1. Clarity is crucial. The transition from a non-binding term sheet to a binding agreement is a significant milestone. Ensure that all parties involved fully understand the implications of this transition and the commitment it entails. 2. Negotiation recap. Review and reiterate the key negotiated points from the term sheet to avoid misunderstandings during the binding agreement phase. 3. Legal expertise. Engage legal counsel to draft the binding agreement. Their expertise is essential in ensuring that the document is legally sound and aligns with the negotiated terms. Legal and regulatory considerations. 1. Compliance is non-negotiable. Strictly adhere to all legal and regulatory requirements related to the specific real estate transaction. Non-compliance can lead to legal issues and delays. 2. Due diligence matters. Thoroughly conduct due diligence on the property and the transaction. Identify any potential legal or regulatory challenges that may need to be addressed before closing. Engaging legal and financial advisors. 1. Early involvement. Engage legal and financial advisors early in the process, ideally during the term sheet negotiation phase. Their insights can help shape the negotiation strategy and identify potential roadblocks. 2. Expertise matters. Choose advisors with expertise in real estate transactions. They should have a deep understanding of the legal, financial, and regulatory aspects of the deal. Finalizing the deal, signing and closing. 1. Detailed preparation. Prepare meticulously for the signing and closing process. Ensure that all required documents are in order, and all conditions precedent have been met. 2. Clear communication. Maintain open and transparent communication with all parties involved, including advisors, lenders, and stakeholders. Timely communication can prevent last-minute surprises. 3. Attend to details. Pay close attention to the details during the closing process. This includes reviewing legal documents, verifying financial arrangements, and confirming the transfer of ownership. 4. Celebrate responsibly. While closing a deal is a significant achievement, it's important to celebrate responsibly. Stay focused on your responsibilities even after the deal is closed. In summary, Chapter 8 emphasizes the critical nature of transitioning from non-binding to binding agreements in commercial real estate, the importance of legal and regulatory compliance, the value of expert advisors, and the meticulous preparation required for a successful closing. By keeping these key points in mind, you can navigate the complexities of real estate transactions with confidence and competence.